Well, according to a brand new report of the NFL Combine, the Eagles' biggest decisions are all expected to be made in the next 10 days, which includes Nakobe Dean because a brand new update is out and you're not going to like it. But it also includes A.J. Brown, as the Inquirer's latest bombshell tells us that Howie wants to move fast, and I mean really fast. Oh, and with Tanner McKee on the trade docket, the Birds might have just found their brand new QB too. I'm Thomas Mott, this is the Thomas Mott Show. Just because the national media's focus has now shifted to how fast the latest prospects are running on the Indianapolis field the past 24 hours, that doesn't mean the rumors behind the scenes have died down. As in fact, it's the opposite. We got a few huge reports overnight on nearly all of the Birds' major internal decisions, including Nakobe Dean, and yes, of course, A.J. Brown. Oh, and everyone's favorite draft pick for the Eagles, well, he confirmed something that none of us want to hear. Honestly, the news the past 24 hours, it's nuts. You're going to want to buckle up. First, though, the winner of the Jordan Spector Art Devontae Smith card actually claimed it on yesterday's video. Although, feeling generous, I want to give away another one of these if today's video hits 70,000 views. So, if you want to enter, drop a like, hit the hype button as well on your mobile app, and leave a comment below. Now, let's start with the latest on Nakobe Dean. As I've been saying all week long, he is as good as gone, and it sounds like, according to Mike Garofolo on PHLY this morning, the Dallas Cowboys, yes, I know, are going to be on the short list to acquire the Birds linebacker.
I mean, I could see that as a really good fit, unfortunately.
I could see that, and I am, you asked me about Goddard, I am 100% convinced that Nakobe Dean is hitting the market and is headed elsewhere. That is my stance and belief as of right now, and I don't see anything that's going to change that. So, yeah, there'll be a, a familiarity factor to this with wherever he winds up, and that'll be. Ask me to make a short list. They'll be on it.
Yeah, well, we expected Nakobe Dean to leave. That's not a shocker to me. Dallas, though, that would be a gut punch. And now we got to hope out that the Cowboys, mainly Jerry Jones, are going to be too cheap to pay Nakobe Dean. That, to me, is the one thing going for the keep Nakobe Dean out of Big D train, is the fact that Dallas Cowboys, they don't have a ton of cap space to spend. I'm hoping that one of these money-bloated, bottom-feeding teams can steal Dean away and give him the contract that he obviously deserves. Either way, though, the Christian Parker connection, it's very strong. Will Dean end up a Cowboy? We'll see. I would at least start preparing for the worst. Dean's going to be a goner. Moving on, and there's been a lot of buzz the past couple of days in Eagle circles, especially on Twitter, about the prospect of trading for yet another backup quarterback in the coming weeks. This time, though, for a pretty big-name backup in the Colts Anthony Richardson, after a new report from Indy confirmed just the other day that Richardson has been granted permission to seek a trade. Now, of course, Philadelphia would not even call the Colts if they still have Tanner McKee on the roster, but on the show earlier this week, I mentioned the Jets, McKee, there's a lot of buzz there right now. I think they're going to try and trade him, and so if you lose your backup quarterback, you need a new one. And honestly, AR-15, he makes a little bit of sense. Philadelphia has always prided themselves on being a quarterback factory, and Richardson, well, he desperately needs just that, a place where he can learn with zero pressure to actually play the quarterback position, while playing behind a very driven and motivated quarterback in Jalen Hurts, who also shares a similar, albeit much better skill set than the former number 4 overall draft pick. My gut feeling, though, is that a team like the Vikings, Kevin O'Connell, they make a lot of sense to go ahead and take on the rehabilitation process, but Philadelphia has done a lot of backup quarterback hunting and trades the past 2 offseasons, so keep an eye on Anthony Richardson. If he actually gets traded, Philadelphia, maybe they pick up the phone. Price for me is the one big question here. I'm not giving up a high draft pick that I get from Tanner McKee just to go ahead and recycle that into Anthony Richardson. Although he's been so darn bad with the Colts, I doubt they can get something crazy for the former number 4 overall draft pick. I would at least take a phone call if McKee is gone. Here's what you guys think down below. Now, moving on to the big story of the day, and that is Jeff McLean's latest Inquirer article on A.J. Brown and the fact that he just revealed the highly polarizing A.J. Brown decision could be coming way sooner than any of us thought. As he wrote, quote, "This is why a decision on Brown will seemingly be made sooner, as in the next 10 days at the official start of the legal tampering period on March 9th, rather than later. At least that's the sense sources closest to several Eagles with uncertain futures has gotten from their conversations with the team this week." And let me stop you right there. I read the comments, and I totally understand you guys are sick and tired of all the A.J. Brown rumors, the flip-flopping. He's gone. He's going to stay. This guy says this guy says that. I get it. I have not wanted to cover A.J. Brown this week because I know you guys don't care, and I'm kind of the same way. It's like, will he stay? Will he go? I really don't care. But the article here from the Inquirer has given us the biggest look behind the curtain on the process, the fact that it could be happening way sooner than we thought. Of course, this quick decision could obviously mean a trade, but it could also mean they just decide to go ahead and keep him, which personally I still believe is the hope inside the building, I think Howie Roseman feels the exact same way because he's been running around the NFL Combine saying exactly that for the past 7 days.
We're in the business of keeping great players, and AJ is a great player. AJ is a difference-making player for our team. He's been on our team 4 years. We've been to the playoffs all 4 of those years, won a Super Bowl, been in 2 Super Bowls, and he's a captain on our team. And so you're not looking to get rid of players like that. You know, for us, the disappointment in the season was not progressing past the first round of the playoffs. So we're looking to build on that and go forward. And so that's adding on. At the same time, you know, there's nobody. Our job as GMs, we got to listen, you know, on anyone. And that doesn't have anything to do with AJ. If anyone calls me and says, hey, I want to talk to you about a player, for me just to say unequivocally, I'm not taking your call, that doesn't make sense because I don't know what they're going to say on the other end. Now, the chances that I'm doing that with a great player, they're not very high.
Mike Garofolo also echoed this really a couple of hours ago, saying that he is leaning toward Brown returning because they would have to be blown away by an offer to even consider moving the star receiver. And well, according to the Inquirer's article, that is in fact the case, as Howie's going to want an absolute bag in return, saying, quote, Roseman's tactics are renowned. He'll set the cost much higher than prevailing wisdom says it should. One NFL executive said he heard the Eagles were seeking in return that included both a first and second round draft pick. Whether accurate or not, it's a price tag already being floated within league circles. The Inquirer article would later go on to say that Howie would settle at a second-round draft pick. Worst comes to worst. I guess that's if they actually want to trade A.J. Brown. But my guess is, though, they want an absolute haul right now. And this whole idea that you could get Rashad Bateman and a third from the Baltimore Ravens is not going to happen. If he's traded, it's going to cost a lot. And to me, all of this is actually really good news because I expected the A.J. Brown trade drama to drag on for weeks and weeks and weeks. And we get closer to the NFL draft. There's some news there. The draft passes. There's more news. Post June 1st, even more news. But if the decision is made in the next 10 days, thank goodness we'll either have A.J. Brown officially locked up, he's here to stay, or they'll trade him and we can move on. Now, naturally, if Philadelphia does move on from A.J. Brown, they will need a brand new pass catcher, and every single fan mock draft I've seen has basically had Philadelphia guaranteed to take Oregon tight end Kenyon Sadiq at 23 overall, who Mike Garofolo said to PHLY this morning might have had the best week of all prospects in Indy.
Let me tell you about Sadiq, by the way.
I love Sadiq.
Blowing people away in interviews. Blowing them away.
I love the kid.
Like walking into interviews and explaining exactly what everybody else's assignment is.
There's no way. No way he's lasting.
Doesn't sound like it, especially after this weekend.
Oh, man.
I one guy says the best interview he ever had.
And that sounds great. I love Kenyon Sadiq. He's the best tight end in this draft class. He would be perfect in Philadelphia if Goddard were to leave, A.J. Brown were to leave. The only problem is Sadiq was asked yesterday during his combine meetings, have you met with the Philadelphia Eagles yet? And he said no.
No, I don't believe I have yet. But obviously they do a great job. You know, Dallas Goddard had a really good year this year, and they're a fun team to watch. So, it'd be awesome to play for them.
Philadelphia sits at number 23 overall. Sadiq has been projected to be a top 15 pick. The Birds want him. Well, do the math here. They're going to have to move up in the draft, and I don't see that being in the cards for a team that only ever moves up for offensive or defensive linemen. And while sure, anything can change, Sadiq can meet with the Eagles over the weekend or be a top 30 visit as well. My guess is he will be. It is interesting to me that they're not that interested in him just yet. I think Sadiq is a lot less likely to happen. I would focus on other draft prospects instead of the Oregon tight end going forward. And being realistic is kind of my theme. I told it to Josh Davis the other night we were doing our weekly live stream that I think Philadelphia is going to have a very similar offseason next couple of weeks to the 2025 offseason this past year. Re-sign a couple of internal guys, Jalen Phillips, hopefully let a lot of other guys walk, Nakobe Dean, Dallas Goddard, and then look for 1 year bargain cheap options in free agency that Philadelphia can go ahead and add to the roster and then draft well. The big kicker is going to be A.J. Brown, and if it happens the next 10 days, well, as I said earlier, then we'll know for sure. I said on my show, was it yesterday, the day before, this is setting up for a repeat of the 2024 offseason, right? Philadelphia enters free agency about a week before. They extend Zach Bond. They rework the Saquon Barkley deal, and they make sure Lane Johnson's money gets moved around a little bit to save a little bit of dead cap money to spend more in free agency. They had 3 big internal re-signings, with Bond really being viewed as an external signing because he was a 1-year rental because he signed him on a 1-year deal. He popped off. He could have gotten more money elsewhere, and he decided to go ahead and stay in Philadelphia with a still very heavy contract, but not what he could have gotten at one of these lesser teams with big cap money. So I expect basically the exact same thing. Bond is going to be, or Jalen Phillips will be Zach Bond this year. Then you have Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis are going to be obviously more expensive, but in the same essence as Saquon Barkley and Lane Johnson, right? Two of these internal guys they want to lock up long term. We know that Jalen Carter is going to get 100 plus million. We know Jordan Davis will be cheaper, but still north of 12, 15, 20. I've seen those numbers kind of flop around at 17. Those are the big three that they're going to have hopefully done in the coming weeks here, because March 11th is where things kick off. And you do not want to have a scenario where Jalen Phillips, if they like him that much, I think that they do, hits free agency and sees the kind of money that could be thrown around by other football teams that have $100 million in cap space. Then it'll be exactly as it was last year, where they're going to go bargain hunting and they're going to throw a lot of mud on the wall and see what sticks. And last year, Josh Uche, and you're like, okay, he was good a couple years ago. What does he do? Azeez Ojulari, okay, good a couple years ago. What does he do? Adoree Jackson, three of the biggest names that they signed. One worked. Like Uche kind of worked there in the beginning, and then he couldn't even get on the active roster towards the end because they obviously had Jalen Phillips, and it proved that Uche was not going to be anything close to that. And I think they're going to do the exact same thing. And we're going to sit here on our shows and go, okay, this guy was really good this season. He was not really good this season, but he's very cheap on a one-year deal, and he plugs a hole of need. We'll wait and see the draft does and go from there. I think they could bring back Adoree Jackson. I think that they will look at Adoree Jackson and go, are you sure you can get a lot more money elsewhere? You fit in the Fangio system. You played pretty well at the end for the Fangio system. We can still draft your replacement and have him wait in the wings, and maybe he takes over, maybe he doesn't. But I could see Adoree being another one of these internal guys that shocks us by like, oh yeah, we should keep Adoree Jackson on a one-year super cheap deal because we're not going to go out and get a big-name cornerback unless they want to spend money for Denzel Ward, and I just don't think that they're going to do that, unfortunately. So I think the 2024 offseason is going to be an exact duplicate, or 2025 offseason, whatever, will be an exact duplication of what's going to happen here in 2026. We need to be ready for it, and we need to hope that they hit on maybe a couple more of those cheap one-year contracts because they really only hit on one.
Yeah, it's... I hope that they can.
It's hard to do.
It is, yeah. But I'm with you as far as like how he's going to take some swings at these lower salary guys. He's going to have some guys that we pay a lot, and you look at that middle class, so to speak. There was only two players. I think Zach Berman had an article about it of like players making from $7 to $15 million per year, and it's kind of the reason. It's like, okay, you have a bunch of star players. And then you have a bunch of like vet minimums, really low guys taking risk or chances on guys who are trying to prove themselves, something like that. And then a couple of those middle tier, but hardly anything. So it makes it a whole lot more difficult. I am hopeful that, they can get something done. Really, I think it comes down to Jordan Davis and getting that extension, because we've talked about this before, but if they could get an extension done, they can free up another like $9 million in cap space. And so if you could do that, the Michael Carter cut seems like a foregone conclusion. At some point we'll hear about that because that's another $9 million or a little bit more than that.
Yep.
That's, together between just those two moves, it's $18 million or so. And then you're looking and going, okay, well, it's about almost 40. Like you're close to 40 based on moves that Howie can make to free up cap space. And that's enough to, get some business done. But before then, if it's JD, he's got the 5th year option. So it's not like he's a free agent yet, but I wonder if his agent is even going like, because I would imagine there's been some conversations, but I'm just wondering if his agent's like, yeah, we're not even gonna really like explore anything yet. And let's just see what a defensive tackle makes in this free agency class. Let's see what an offer comes to, right? Because then if he can get a better idea of, oh, okay, so you got a guy that's making X amount of dollars, well, then let's see what you can offer me here. Because initial projections were like $17.5 million a year for Jordan Davis. And I think if that's the actual cost of doing business, everyone signs up for it in a heartbeat because of what we saw and his progression. But that remains to be seen. And again, all the guys there deserve to get a bag. I want them to do that for the best case scenario for them, for their families. It makes sense. At the same time, though, it does make you appreciate a lot of times the guys who are willing to take, even if it's just a couple million off because of a team-friendly discount. Jalen Phillips, will he be willing to do that? That question there. Him and his fiance are pregnant with a boy, soon to be. I saw that post. So,
yes.
If they loved Philly, if they love the area, maybe it's enough to go, yeah, we don't want to try to move too much. Although I think that picture was maybe somewhere in Florida, if I'm not mistaken. So
it's hard to, or it's easier to kind of take a little bit less. But if you're Nakobe Dean, you're one injury away from your career being over. You can't take $5 million less a year. You just can't. And the same can probably be said for Reed, who's also had a lot of concussions.
Yeah, I wouldn't knock him one bit for the reasons that you're talking about. Yeah,
I wouldn't either. I wouldn't either. It would just stink because it's Dallas.
But yeah, if it's Dallas, of all teams, I really don't want that to happen. But
that'd be fun. There's a lot of noise. I think AJ Brown's agent is making a lot of noise. Howie and Nick were very, very, I think, straightforward, saying we don't want to trade him. We don't want to trade away good players. We're not going to not listen to offers, but it's going to come down to AJ Brown publicly asking for a trade or not. And I'm surprised he hasn't. If he wants to be traded, he could publicly say it, make it a heck of a lot easier, but he hasn't yet. And I would take that as something that is a little bit more noteworthy than people want to make it out. And there's going to be a lot of noise right now. And maybe it's true, maybe it's not. I think it's 50-50. And I think I'm leaning 50-50. I think he's going to stay because the contract, but I'm 50-50 right now. But I'm not, if you watch Twitter, it's 90-10 he's going to be traded. I'm not 90-10.
Yeah, I wouldn't say so either. But it's going to be, like you say, it's going to be nonstop until something either happens or we're basically like so far, and even then it's not over, I guess. But like you're so far into the summer where it's like, okay, like well beyond June 1st, still nothing has happened. Not really going to get some equity there, and they're just moving on, right? And there's no drama, and you're just getting some sort of excitement there. But yeah, it's going to be. I mean, Mike Vrabel, kind of the comments that he made. I saw some people mention like, "Hey, is that tampering there?" Like he's kind of getting awfully close.
Like it,
to cut. It's okay to have conversations with players, but like to what extent? When you're talking about, especially when someone's struggling and with another team, like I don't know. But yes, it'll continue to happen. Howie's going to get calls, regardless of if AJ's requesting trades or not. Howie will absolutely get calls. You can guarantee yourself that. And we'll see. But as far as percentage wise, yeah, like I'm probably, I don't know, 60-40 in terms of where that goes. And I won't tell you what the 60 is, so you can just guess for people out there. I'm not going to put that on myself. But 60-40 in some sort of range.
Now, of course, plenty more stuff happening next couple of days and weeks. I would highly recommend you turn on the notification bell because anything can happen. I think re-signing internal guys starts next week if they want to extend Jalen Carter or Jordan Davis. But if a trade were to happen, legal tampering is March 9th. It's going to be March, maybe the time you watch this, starting next week. Oh my gosh, buckle up. It's going to be nuts. We'll go live and have plenty of shows covering it here on the channel. Get your comment down below in case we hit 70,000 views on today's show for another Immortal Moments card here. But I'm Thomas Mott. It's getting nuts. This has been the Thomas Mott Show.